starting with the wage structure, which has been there for 150 years now, is totally unsustainable. Nowhere in the world do we have a perennial crop, the workers being paid a guaranteed wage or guaranteed 300 days work. Nowhere in the world. We have to move away from that. We have to move away to the model which is now being spoken about, and I saw in the Sunday papers 2 Sundays ago, where the unions are talking about it themselves. So it's a step in the right direction, where we move away from a wage-based model to a revenue sharing model. That has worked in some of the companies. We modeled it at Kahawatte Plantation very successfully, and that's the way to go, where you get the workers, you give them a plot of land, get them engaged. They get the dignity in what they are doing, because it's their plot of land, and they give the crop to the factory. All what I am saying is, let Ramasamy, when I say Ramasamy, the worker, do what he is best at, which is cultivating. Let the management companies do what they are best at. Manufacture for the export market. The manufacturing process is an expensive process. The worker can't do that. He can't afford it. He can't go to banks and raise money to buy a color sorter, which is now 20 million bucks. Companies can. Let them do that. Let the worker be given the land. Let him cultivate it. Give him the inputs that are required, and have a bought leaf purchasing model for the worker. He owns, of course, land in Sri Lanka is not owned by, it's government land, so it is given on contract or lease or whatever to the worker. He does what he is best at. Initially, you can't swing from one system to the other. I think the best thing is to have a hybrid system, where you have the good tea, which is economical to pluck now, to be plucked on a state account, and that's a safety net for the workers. The other tea, which is not economical to be plucked with all the overheads of the companies, to be given to the worker. Flex time, flex place. There is no rigid command and control on those people, because they can come at whatever time, pluck whatever they want to pluck, and it is given to the factory. He can take his mother to hospital, he can take his child to school, he can take the child to the crèche and come for work at 9 o'clock, as opposed to the regimented discipline that is there now, which he doesn't want, he doesn't like. He likes to have flex time, flex place, dignity, connectivity, being respected. All these things can be built in if you have what I would like to call is a contract model. It's not an outgrower model where he has the word that is being used is outgrower, but okay, call it whatever. But that's a model that will survive for the future, where the worker has proprietary interests on the plantation. Today he does not have proprietary interests. He's just a paid worker. He can come today, tomorrow he doesn't come. He doesn't care. Management didn't care till very recently. Now they are feeling, look, they are not going to be a plantation without these people. So it's not a day too late that we change, because like Einstein said, if you are going to do the same thing and expecting different results, it's lunacy. We have overplayed this lunacy for a while. This should have come at least 10-15 years ago. At least now it has come in now. And unions also believe that for their survival, they need to have the worker on the plantation and not in Colombo. But then they get their union subs and all that. So if you have a system where they have a hybrid system, they are on the check roll, they have to work 10 days on the property, the other 10 days they do their own little thing, all the safeguards that the worker had earlier will still be there, because he's still on the check roll. But there will come a time when the people to whom you are given on this outgrower system is also going to become less, and you are going to give more and more with land which you had, very productive land, into. Time will come, maybe 5 years, 10 years. I can't see it more than 10 years. The entire property is going to be contract plucked, and the leaf given to the factory for manufacture. and what they are best at. So that's what I see as a future for the tea industry. Oil palm is booming. There is a clamor for them to, because the quality of life is far better in oil palm because of the earning capacity. There are, as I told you, 20 or 30 workers in Udugama area who are paying even income tax. You just go to their cooperatives. You can see the quality of life. I have photographs to show you. When I started in that, there were sheds or just shacks which were called their shops. They had basic stuff there. Today you go, I can take you to Udugama Nakyadeniya cooperative, which is on the roadside near the mill. The toothpaste, they also have Sensodyne. They have not the Red Bull, but they have that other bronze colored energy drink. That's also the Malaysian drink. And I asked that girl, why do you want this? He said, so this is what they use for shandy. It gives double the kick. Nesta malt, Milo, all in sachets, shampoo, Fair and Lovely. This is the quality of life of these people. So that is improving. That is in the case. Even in the case of tea, where they are working well and where there is disposable income, quality of life has improved. I am sure when you go around the city, you can see antennas on every house, line room or house or whatever. There is a three-wheeler parked outside, tuk-tuk. So they are going up the, may not be the value chain, the quality of life chain. Plantations are stagnating. They are trying to meet the shortage of housing. They are meeting the shortage of sanitation. They are meeting the shortages of water, crushers. The resident workers are taking it in both arms. What are they contributing back? Many of the houses that are being built and given to workers, they are not working on the plantation. When they were selected to get into these houses, they said there should be at least 2 people working. They should have at least 75% or 80% outturn. Once they come in, you can't evict them. So they are becoming very self-sufficient, independent, and with a degree of dignity. They are not anymore the coolie. Though management might have the coolie mentality still, though they are calling them all sorts of names and thinking that the guy is going to do what he wants to do, that's not going to happen. People are getting educated, they have TV, they know what it is, and YouTube, one thing and another. I visit a plantation in Pusella. When I get to the plantation for the visit, it's about 9, 10 in the night. There's a huge congregation of people near the factory gate. I asked the driver the other day, what are these fellows doing here this time? No, sir, they get 4G at this time of the night, so they're all downloading their emails and whatever. That is connectivity. They are not coolies anymore. Plantation management has to change. They have to be far more receptive of the fears, frustrations and aspirations of their community. Don't think that just because they are living in that line and you are living in your bungalow, that gap is still there. That gap is not there. Giving them land ownership, giving them house ownership brought a degree of dignity to them. They bought a TV. They don't sleep on the ground anymore. They have some kind of bed or whatever. Uplifted their quality of life. But that's him becoming better. How do you make him a better factor of production? How do you make him a valuable contributor to the plantation economy? Get him engaged. How? Give him the land. Make him responsible for that land. Till then, he's floating. You have given him a house, yes, he'll live there. But where does he work? He has a choice. He can go to the village and work. He can come to town and work. He can come to wherever. If China opens this 600 acres or whatever of agricultural stuff in Hambantota, from where are they going to get agricultural workers? They'll want to bring a few from there, but by and large from where? It has to be from the plantation. Now, if it is up country, there is no Sinhalese village by the side. But if it is going to be low country, why not give blocks of land to the villagers as well? You are short of labor. Those villagers are also non-resident workers on your plantation. Give them a block of land. Why alienate them? And this land is not for keeps. During the time that we did it at Kahawatte, we gave it to them for 6 months on a contract and we rotated it. But if you want him to have proprietary interest on that piece of land and we want him to invest and say infill and put some plants, he is not going to put plants and then next 3 months later give it to somebody else. He will want a longer tenure. So I saw the union suggesting 3 years. Okay, 3 years, yearly renewable. These are the criteria. If you don't stick to this, we will take it back. These are the criteria. You are doing it well. 6 years. The land tenure laws in Sri Lanka are very, very, very weak. And the judiciary is even weaker. A worker can go and show a photograph of a land saying, sir, I have been cultivating this for ever so long, and show a few banana clumps, which would have come up in the last 3-4 months. And that is enough proof to say that he has been cultivating that land with whatever. So we need to tighten our land tenure on the government land. It's not government land, so government tightening rules and regulations for its tenure, I can't see anybody objecting to that. So let's work it in, have a legal agreement, we will give it to A, B, C and D. You can't change crops, you can't take out the tea and go and put tobacco. You will do this, you can, if you want, infill it. And if you have done, say, you can add these things in, say if you have developed the land to such an extent, you have the first call of refusal for the next 3 years. So he knows that if I put something in, my crop is going to come in 2.5-3 years time, it's not going to come immediately, but I can still have this for 3 more years. And by that time I would have retired and I will have full time which I can use it, and that will be steady income for me. It can be worked out. I remember once I did all this, and a lot of people have forgotten, this is the Kahawatte model, and this was done before anyone, lest anyone forget, the man behind it all who challenged status quo and said do something different was Mr. Medel Fernando. When there was a wage increase, he walked into my office at Kahawatte and he said, Dan, you can't go on like this. What do we do? At that time rubber was in the dumps. I started this program for rubber. But rubber, you can slaughter the tree and that's the end of the tree. Tea you can't. You can still prune it and resurrect it even if it is mismanaged for a while. When rubber became a failure, we converted that model for tea. And if not, the land tenure thing came up at board meetings. And Mr. Fernando very clearly said, I did not take Kahawatte plantations to own large extents of land. I wanted the tea to be manufactured in the factories the way I wanted it. So I want the green leaf. I am not really interested about the land. We as management had to obviously look at the nuts and bolts of it and put in this 6-month rule of we gave it to somebody for only 6 months. Because we were very aware of the fact that we had taken over the company for 53 years on lease and that someday we had to give it back. So actually the person who challenged status quo and gave a green light and all the encouragement, I would unequivocally want to acknowledge Mr. Medel Fernando. Today people have forgotten that talking about that model and this model and everything else. If I didn't have the support of a great visionary like Mr. Medel Fernando to tell me, then don't worry about all that, I'll talk about. Fairly powerful people in the Kahawatte board said, look, we are giving this to them, they won't give the land back, what are you going to do? When I was struggling to give an answer, Mr. Medel Fernando said, look, I took over the company not for land. So his thinking at that time has now been tweeted, refined, but the person who said move away from a wage model when wage increases are being mandated quite irrationally every 2 years was Mr. Medel Fernando.